live from the Santerre Bank Studios. It's the Hose Connections halftime show. Andrew Mild with Steve Pachowski. And Steve, it's week 10, which means playoff football has reached the region. And we've seen some good games. And, of course, you're going to see some blowouts in the first week of sectionals.
And it's a new season. Everybody's 0-0. You try to use that cliche, and it's obviously not working for some teams out here. But others, we do have a couple good games out there, though.
The two games being featured on the Region Sports Network tonight is Wheeler and Boone Grove. At the half, those teams are tied. Wheeler, they beat Griffith last week to end their perfect season. Boone Grove has won 4 games in a row. And even though it's 7-7 at the half, you've been saying it the whole time we've been sitting in the studio tonight, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot.
That Boone Grove team, exactly. They could have easily put even a couple more field goals up, had the ball inside the 10-yard line a couple times and came away with no points. So this second half should be interesting.
Yeah, Boone Grove, it was at one point first and 34, which we thought that was a typo. And then they were at the 7-yard line, and a bad snap moved them all the way back to about midfield. They had to punt it away on a 4th and goal. So we'll see if Boone Grove can tweak those mistakes they were making and maybe get the upset win against Wheeler. Those two teams are ranked within the top 10 in the Ennegenberg Region Sports Network ranking. Wheeler at 4, Boone Grove at 9. The other game that we are broadcasting tonight is the Hobart Brickies going up against the Lowell Red Devils. At the half, Hobart is up 21-7. Hobart ranked 10th in the Ennegenberg rankings, but Hobart's passing game has been dissecting Lowell's defense.
Yeah, you wonder, I think I mentioned it too, you wonder, you had mentioned before that's what hurt them in the previous game that they played, and I just wonder how much Lowell can replicate that in practice to try to get ready for a passing game like that, and those shortcomings there seem to be showing up in the first half, at least so far. Yeah,
in their first meeting this year, Hobart had won 42-7, so they could do no wrong in that game, and they're looking to send Lowell home early. That game to be taking place in Lowell. Other scores from around the region tonight: North Judson, the powerhouse in the 1A, who came in scoring 468 points during the regular season, only allowing 56, is dominating South Newton 49-6. Looks like North Judson is going to move pretty easily to the next round.
Right on track. They're one of those teams that you've almost punched their ticket for Indianapolis. I don't want to jinx them or anything.
No.
From what they look like now, they're off to a good start.
Well, North Judson, if you don't make it to Indianapolis, you know who to blame. The person on my left, and they'll face the winner of South Central and Culver, two teams that combined for 3 wins over the regular season. Culver is up 30-8. We have no score reported for Bowman and North Newton, so if you're at that game or if you know the score or someone that's at the game, please get that score reported to Region Sports Network so we can update our bracket as this is going along. And then LaVille, they're dominating West Central 41-6. Same thing for Lake Station and Bremen. No score there, but Bremen, they've been a really good team. And Drayen, ranked number 3 after they finished off the season red hot by upsetting Hanover Central, and then they beat Lowell to close out the year. They're up 20-0 on Whiting, but you thought that this is how this game was going to go.
Yeah, pretty much the Andrean MO, play those 4A, 5A teams early and get ready for the playoffs, and here we go.
A team that's had a red-hot defense the last couple of weeks, even shutting out Hanover Central in a classic game this year, probably the game of the year in a 3-0 game. We already mentioned Wheeler and Boone Grove. We'll move on to Class 3A with Jimtown going up against John Glenn. Jimtown, who's won 6 of the last 7, is up 31-7 at the half. That's a really good football team going up against John Glenn, who has struggled. They went 1-7 and didn't win a single conference game this year.
I just like saying Jimtown Jimmies. So
we've been saying it an awful lot whenever it pops up on these Track and Van Til hometown scoreboard. So if you missed this show, don't forget to check that out. The Mishawaka Marion Knights, and this is where we play the sad noise for Justin, who is behind the laptop, a Calumet graduate. They're getting beat 35-0 against the Knights.
Well, kind of not surprising there. Mishawaka Marion, always a strong team heading into the playoffs.
Knox and River Forest. This was a game that you and I had some intrigue in. Unfortunately, we have not been able to find a broadcast of that game. And it's living up to what we thought it was going to be. It's a 16-13 game. Knox leading at the half.
Right. Our old buddy Russ Radke there with the Knox Redskins has them playoff ready, just like he does all his teams that he's coached in the past. And same with Mark Hidalgo with the Ingots. Interesting to see where this game goes to.
Yeah, Knox won 5 of the last 6 to close out the year. River Forest, of course, one of the best rushing teams you're going to find in this area. They average over 221 yards a game on the ground, but of course, when you run the triple option, it becomes very easy to do that.
Just saw score on that 24-13 now for Knox.
Also, and the funny part is we're seeing all these teams going for 2 because we saw how many missed extra points just a week ago. So we've seen a lot of weird scores today in multiples of 8 instead of 7. Griffith and Bishop Knoll, we haven't really seen it being updated since the first quarter. It said 7-0, but I have a hard time believing that neither of those teams have scored since then. So again, if you have that score, please let us know. We would love to find out what's going on with Griffith and Bishop Knoll. Of course, Griffith, a team that was undefeated until they lost to Wheeler last week, one of the best teams you're going to find in this part of the region, led by a sophomore quarterback, Ryan Breon, who had a good year. Over in Class 4A, Hanover Central. My goodness. They're taking on the East Chicago Central Cardinals. Is 42-8.
Yeah, they seem to have righted that offensive ship at least for this game, and they're the team that you get the feeling that they were just waiting for the playoffs. I mean, I know you don't want to lose to Andrean, you don't want to give up that conference championship, but you just get the feeling they're one of those teams that were kind of looking forward, and here they are, and here they go.
Yeah, a team that only lost 2 games all regular season. They were to Bishop Chatard and Andrean. So those are 2 quality losses, especially the way that Andrean closed out the regular season. So Hanover Central look like they're going to get the win, and they're going to move on. KV going up against Highland. It's 38-7. Those 2 teams just met 2 weeks ago, and that score is 57-0. So at least Highland got on the board this time.
Well, that's I guess that's what the consolation prize. What can you say? Kankakee rolling over Highland.
Yeah, led by Marco Castro, the leading rusher in the region, and he ran for over 213 yards 2 weeks ago. I'm curious to where he's at right now after he ran for over 1,600 yards this season thus far. New Prairie going up against Gary Westside is 48-6 New Prairie. And then, as we mentioned, Hobart and Lowell is 21-7. The game I want to talk about real quick before we send it off, and then we'll see you in the fourth quarter for a preview at RSN Zone, has been Wheeler and Boone Grove. What can Boone Grove do to clean it up and not get so many flags? Because it seemed like every play, and even Leo Staudiker, who was on the call, said every time it seems like Boone Grove does something well, there's a piece of dirty laundry on the field.
Yeah, and they're not. They're not those pre-snap penalties either.
No.
They're holds and things like that. That just at this time of year, again, those things shouldn't be happening. On the other side of the coin, we kind of mentioned all the things going wrong for. Why can't I help me out here?
With Boone Grove.
For Boone Grove,
yes.
Thank you. Wheeler has just missed on 2 or 3 long pass plays too. So this is kind of a game where both teams have just been missing. Boone Grove shooting themselves in the foot. Wheeler just kind of not in sync with their passing game as they usually are. So I'm expecting maybe some fireworks in the second half. Should be interesting.
Yeah, these 2 teams met earlier this year where Wheeler scored 38 points. So they're going to have a huge second half if they won't even tie that mark. But I asked you a question before we got into the halftime show, and you don't really buy into it because I asked you, why is it so hard to beat a team twice? But you don't really believe that's the case.
No, it's just, I don't know, the cliche, and I don't know how many times if you actually looked at it that it actually works out that way. I just think if you're a good team, beating a team once shouldn't matter.
Right.
We mentioned as far as getting ready for a team where a lot of times the losing team will make adjustments. Well, the winning team kind of has to do that too. And I kind of said if they don't do that, shame on them. You have to be able to make adjustments even if you won that game. You have to look at things that you can do better. So hopefully you're not the same team, even though you won. You're not the same team coming in for that second game.
Well, speaking about that game, it looks like they're about to kick off. So we'll send you back to Boone Grove and Wheeler, and then we should have Hobart and Lowell starting very soon. Wheeler and Boone Grove 7 apiece. Hobart leading Lowell 21-7. For my partner Steve Pachowski, I've been Andrew Mild. This has been the Host Connections halftime show. We'll see you for an abbreviated RS End Zone, and of course, we'll wrap it up later on tonight after all the games go final. So this has been the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.